All right, maybe I'm nitpicking a little bit, but if the photographers doing the product photo shoot had the good sense to turn the headphones on to show off the lighting, you'd think that when they actually put them on models to show them in action, you'd have the good sense to turn on the headphones. So, every once in a while, some social media marketing ploy will work on me. And this past Christmas, Raycon was offering their wireless gaming headset for like $80, which it currently runs, I think, for about $119, $120. And I'd been using wired headphones up until that point and thought I'd give it a try. Been using it for the last few months, and I'll walk you through some of the pros, cons, and my thoughts about these headphones. The first thing I can say is the design is sleek and clean. They're a solid pair of headphones, and despite that size and solid nature, you'd think they'd be heavier, but they're pretty lightweight and very comfortable. The built-in lighting is a pretty neat feature, but it is only one color. It does come in two colors, the silver and purple, and then there's the black. I noticed that I can wear them for hours, and even with my glasses, I don't feel any pressure or pain against the side of my head. My previous pair, the Rig 500 Pro Golds, did in fact press a bit hard against here. In fact, you can kind of see I had to put in some foam on these because it wasn't pressing the cup under my ears enough. That was another thing. One interesting thing I did notice is both the Rig and the Raycons both use the same honeycomb mesh material for the ear pads. It's the inner foam, the density is much different. In fact, these, when you put them on, there is a softer feel, like the white noise feels like it drowns away into the background a bit more. The Raycons, not so much, but because of the density of these cups and the dual speakers and other tech inside there, it actually does block out a bit more of the noise than the other ones. The button layout on the Raycons is fantastic. They have, each button is different and unique, so you won't confuse one for the other. There's two controls on each ear cup. The only downside I found is that the power button is also used to switch the haptic vibration feedback on and off. And if you forget which direction the slider goes, you can accidentally just turn off your headphones and have to wait for them to reconnect. The reconnect time can vary from almost instantly to upwards of 20 seconds or so. One thing I did notice about the padding, though, is when I'm putting them on, I can hear this kind of squeaky sound as I adjust them, and I found out the pleather layer of fabric here rubbing against my glasses. Good news for anyone looking to purchase these, it appears that the newer production model doesn't have this pleather. It actually has the honeycomb all the way around. So for functions and features, it's got a lot of really neat features packed into this small device. The mic retraction is very convenient and smooth. And the mic does actually work when it's fully all the way back. Some companies might try to get clever and have that be an automatic mute function like the Turtle Beaches, and they didn't do that here. So now you can have it out of your way and still be speaking. And a little later I'll do a mic test with this and some other microphones so you can hear the difference. Each time you switch to one of the other sound modes, of which there are 3, it will actually have a recording play in your ear to let you know which sound mode you're using. Comes in super handy. Although it does not announce when you are switching from not using haptic to using the haptic vibration, there you'll just hear a beep. Speaking of the haptic vibration, it's a really interesting sensation once you turn that on. You want to make sure that you don't have the sound profile set to bass boost or something. It'll just get really muddled. And depending on the game you're playing, the haptic feedback might come in super handy. With something like Call of Duty, I found that it sort of blended in the background very quickly. I stopped noticing it being so distinctive after a while. But also the problem was, in that game, every time you make some kind of achievement or, get a kill, there's a ta-da sound effect or something that comes with it. And the headphones don't make a distinction between gunfire and earthquakes or something, or vehicle crashes and those sounds. So all of it will come in as haptic feedback. If you're playing a more realistic, gritty survival game where there isn't a lot of music or sound effects, it actually might really enhance that experience. In terms of battery life, they advertise something like 24 hours of battery life, but if you read carefully, the caveat there is listening. So in my experience over the last few months, the one or two times I've ever had the battery die on me, it was after about 12, 13 hours of continuous all day being on conference calls or making videos using it, listening to music. So microphone and headphones seems to cut that in about half. It does recharge in an hour or so, so that makes it a quick turnaround. One big drawback to that recharge time is that the USB-C cable they ship with it is about 5 inches long. So I use an extender so that I can have it hanging off my desk. Now, one thing I can't really fault them for, but has happened to me, if you look very closely along the edge here, you'll notice these scratches in the paint wearing off. A very in vogue feature a lot of people have in their gaming setups is some kind of hook for their headphones. I have a metal hook on the side of my desk, and I just noticed after about a month or so that all these nicks and scratches in the paint were occurring. Sure, they could use a more durable material along that section, but I'm not really going to fault them for my hook causing the scratches. I'm just going to have to be a little bit more careful when hanging them up. Now, these are headphones, and how they sound is very important. I'm not an audiophile or a trained musician, but listening with these headphones, the sound quality is pretty impressive. The different audio modes make a huge difference between listening to drum and bass or R&B to any other kind of music, listening to conference calls. That's super helpful, especially if you're doing video editing or podcast editing and you want to make sure you're hearing the true quality of the vocal tones. It's very clear and very effective. The audio modes do not sound like some sort of basic just turning down a treble knob and turning up a bass knob or something like that. It sounds like someone sat there with a real equalizer and made sure that there was a distinct difference on multiple frequencies between these audio modes. Very impressive. There is a special bass mode that is super powerful, and as long as you have the haptic turned off, it sounds great. Now, it has a microphone built in. So let's walk through some tests of the microphone on the headset versus some other options. Now, for the microphone testing, Columbia University recommends these phrases for testing microphones. First, we'll start with this one here. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. The swan dive was far from perfect. Gianevo gooseneck mic that I haven't used in a while was one of my original microphones for streaming when I used to use a laptop.
Her purse was full of useless trash. The colt reared and threw the tall rider.
This is in this position fully extended. Two blue fish swam in the tank. Press the pants and sew a button on the vest. Now fully retracted. The colt reared and threw the tall rider. The small pup gnawed a hole in the sock. Bottom line, I'm extremely happy with the Raycon gaming headphones. They're comfortable, they look good, they sound good. I don't mind the whole pop star look, but if that's not your thing, get the black ones. And as of this recording, if you go to their website, you can get 15% off using the code NEWSTART, which comes out to about $101. Not a bad deal.